Hello, I'm Lubna Saeed. I'm Associate Professor at Nile University, Egypt, and I'm Program Director of Microelectronic System Design Master Program at Nile University as well. And also, I am a steering committee member of Arab German Young Academy of Science and Humanities. Today, I'm giving you a lecture about research fundamentals. As I introduced myself, I'm also IEEE senior member. I'm an affiliate member of the African Academy of Science, and I'm the current co-chair of the Egyptian Young Academy of Science. And I'm the co-director of Nanoelectronics Integrated System Center at Nile University, Egypt as well. First, I'm going to tell you about what is research, why research is important, what kind of papers, the type of paper you could publish, and I will highlight some publishers and also the process of publishing a scientific paper. Some people doesn't know what is the meaning by H-index, so I'm going to highlight what is the meaning by H-index, and some famous search engines like Google Scholar and Scopus, and they also indexing. They are really important for indexing for all researcher, and some famous search engines. So these are the outlines of the presentation of today, or today's lecture. Hope you enjoyed and understand it. First, I'm going to give you a brief introduction about my research, why I'm capable of conducting a fundamental of research lecture today. My research highlights about fractional order applications in different domains, in mathematics, in engineering sciences, and computer science, and I integrate the concept of fractional calculus in many applications, even in agriculture, irrigation, security, and encryption. This is what I work. I work in fractional order domain. As you can see here from SciVal statistics, that Nile University which is my institution, is #1 university in this field, and I am #4 worldwide in the field of fractional order applications. So that's why I'm telling you I can conduct this lecture in the most effective way. The second part of our presentation today is what is research? What is research? It's actually about a problem need to be solved, which is really important. You have to solve a problem. You have to ask the correct question. What if, why, when, could I, what? So the problem starts with, I have a problem I need to solve, and I'm asking the correct question about the problem we need to solve. That's what is research about. So data is really important. So we have now a problem we need to solve. So we need to have data. So the part of collecting the data is the most important part of conducting the research, because collecting the data is about how we will process this data later on to solve our problem or to do research about our problem. So we have two things about collecting the data. We have to have a direction, specify a research purpose. This comes from collecting data. So after collecting data, we could be able to specify a purpose for our research. Second step is to conduct a literature review. Why? Because it's really important. So I have the problem. So I need to know what people did so far to solve this problem, and how this problem is actually being investigated in the literature. Maybe the problem already has a solution. Maybe I don't have something to add. So I have to properly review the literature to understand what's my next step, to specify the research purpose. And all this process is depending on collecting the data. Okay. So again, what is research? It's about analyzing and interpretation of the data. So if we got the data and we make an analysis and interpretation to the data, we will be able to identify the methodology of the solution to the given problem. So research starts with a problem need to be solved, and then after we have the problems that need to be solved, we need to collect the data and see what people reach in this problem. And the next step is we will identify clearly the methodology of solution to a given problem. And then we will evaluate the data and start write our results after that. So the research cycle start with think and plan, discover, gather, analysis, write, publish, and share and do the impact. Because after you publish the paper, your impact, sharing this with the society or the scientific community, this show you the impact of your research, how the scientific community and researcher get benefit of your results and your publication so far. So it starts with think about it. Why the research is really important. Research is really, really important. Why it is important for us to conduct research, to do research, to research. First, it is actually a tool for building knowledge and efficient learning, because you can build knowledge based on research. If you didn't do research, how come you get a solution for a problem? How come you get an innovative solution? How come you get an invention? It's all start with research. It's actually a mean to understand various issues. Many issues could be understood by research, collect data, understanding, interpret the data, analysis the data, evaluate the data. So it's research provide a way to understand lots of issues. It's actually an aid to a business success. You cannot success in business without the proper research about your business, your competitors, your financial plan, your future plan. Is your product is actually going to be successful one or not? You have to do data analysis and research. So it's really important in all aspects of our life. It's actually a way to prove lies and support the truth, because if I claim something, this is true. So how come you know this is truth or not? You have to have evidence for this, and research provide the needed evidence to show that people are lying or people are telling the truth. Because you have in research, you have to validate your results, you have to prove your results, so you have to prove your findings. So the research is giving you a way to support truth and prove lies. It's also it's mean to find and seize opportunities, because you find many opportunities through research. You can find an idea here and there. You can find lots of stuff throughout research. It's actually a seed to love reading, writing, and analyzing and sharing valuable information, because you will read a literature, you will conduct a literature review, you will gather data, so you will always want to read more, to understand more, to get the knowledge, to see what people are doing in a specific topic, and how can you contribute in this. So and of course, when you love to read other people's work, you will start to have the passion to work yourself and share your information. And of course, you are not going to read and research without sharing and make an impact. And this is how the research is performed. And what's really important is nourishment and exercise for the mind, because you will actually have to use your mind, have to think about everything, and you have to exercise your mind. It will develop problem-solving skills. It will develop other technical skills. So it's really, really important. Something I think lots of people in academia, or some people in academia are isolated from industry, which is not true, because it's really important to always bridge the gap between academia and industry. And for a good research, a research with an impact, it has to be translated into product. So if we would like to translate our research into products or something useful for society, we have to have a partnership with academia. and industry. We will see the post perspective, the academic perspective, and the industry perspective. For the academic perspective, application of research for public good. This is how academia see the industry partnership. And industry perspective, research institutions are rich and source of new ideas and technology because they think fresh and they are more focused towards research. So you will find more rich sources of new ideas and technology because they actually have the time and the capability of doing this. So this is how industry look the other way into academia. From the academic point of view, it's really, really important to have an exposure to industry collaboration because we can get another perspective of our product when we are dealing, or our research when we are dealing with an industry, with the experience of industry. Of course, it's cheaper from the industrial point of view, which is the money talks all the time. So it's cheaper to support research and to license in technology coming from academia. Of course, academia look at industry as a source of research fund because they already have funding and they have R&D to fund research. So it's really important. And of course, it's build research, endowment, reward investigator or inventor. This is really important. And also, always, but specifically if we talk the biotech industry, always look for academic collaboration at early stage technology before going to the mass production and the validation. Okay, let's talk about what kind of papers we could publish. We could publish research article. We could publish reviews. We can have comments or reply to papers, already published paper, and we have comment on it or reply to a specific part of it. And we can do conference proceeding. Of course, conferences doesn't require so much new results, but you can have some of your results. You can publish part of it in terms of a conference, and then extend the results to publish a complete research article. Of course, reviews article are the hardest because you have to get all the literature and to have a theme for a review, and you have to conclude what everyone else has done in a specific field for a long period of time, for how many years. Okay, we have some publishers like IEEE, like IOB, like Elsevier, like Wiley, like Springer, like MDBI, like Frontier. We have so many IET. So I just highlighted some of the publishers. These are not all the existing publishers, but we have so many publishers exist in the academia. You can publish according to, of course, your field, and you will have many publishers, have so many international journals you can publish with your results according to the topic itself. So these are some of the publishers, not all, some. Okay, what are the key elements to publish a paper? What are the key elements? Let's think about it. Let's use our mind to think. I want to publish. So what's the first step? It's actually the first step is ethical issues. This is really important because your name is really important. So you have to take care of your ethics in publication. And second thing is the style and language, and then paper structure. One of the most important thing is article submission and journal selection, because some researchers just submit to journal and then they get rejection over rejection, not because of the quality of their work, but because they wrongly identified the journal. So journal selection is really important in order not to get frustrated and disappointed. And of course, what happened after you submit the journal? We will discuss it all here in this our lecture today. The ethical issue. You always have to make a disclosure of a conflict of interest. This is really important to do so. because this is part of the ethics of a researcher. If there is a conflict of interest, you have to declare it. And also you have to do proper acknowledgement to the funding source. It's really important to do so. If you take a grant for your research, you have to properly say this research belonged to this grant, or this grant with number X and funder Y. We supported this research. So this is part of the ethical issues we have to deal with. Last thing is the proper citation of the literature. If someone did something and you mention it in your work, you have to cite it, because this is really important to say this work or someone else did 1, 2, 3, 4 in this field, and you have to cite the original reference. Always cite the original reference. Style and language. You have to read journal author guide. It's really important, because you don't want your paper to get rejected because you didn't follow the author guidelines. So it's really a matter of targeting a journal, and you have to follow the requirement of this journal. Second is report finding and conclusion. It has to be clear and concise. Why? Because after all, you want people to understand your research, to understand your conclusion. So please be clear as much as possible and be to the point, concise. And it's really important in abstract and conclusion to focus on the messages behind your research, what I'm trying to say, what I find after all. So being to the point is really important. And finally, English must be revised. And you don't have to be a native English speaker. I'm not a native English speaker, but it's really important to be clear as much as possible, to follow the English language, and to revise it more than one time. Use grammar apps. You can go to professional help for English language. It's okay, but you have to revise it in a very correct way. What is the paper structure? The title. The title is really important. It is either on-off. It should attract people. It should sum up the presented content in small keywords, and you make an informative, attractive, effective. It has to stick in the head when we read your title, to get an information, a full information about what the paper talk about from the title itself. Okay. Second thing, the authors. You have to write the correct author in order, and their affiliations is important. So you must make sure that the authors are well identified and the affiliations are correct. Finally, the abstract. It has to describe, again, the messages behind the work, the important messages, what I want people to know about this work. Again, it has to be informative, attractive, effective to attract people to look at the paper and search and read it, and to cite it later, and to understand it and try to validate it and to talk to you about it. So it's really important. The abstract is like the most important thing in the paper. Keywords actually are important as well. They ensure that the article is correctly identified in abstracting and indexing services, because we got the paper by searching for the keywords. The keywords, I search for the keyword, so you have to write the proper keyword if you would like your paper to appear in any indexing services. So it's really important. The introduction is the heart of the paper. What does I mean by this? It has to have some actually main important components. The first component is, what is the problem being investigated? You have to state it clearly in the introduction. And you have to give the reader the background, the background that explains this problem and why I'm conducting this research. So I have to show the background, what people reached so far, and identify the problem itself and why I'm doing this, because it actually was some other people explain this problem, and some other people work in this problem, what they have reached so far, and why I'm I'm working on this paper. So I have to clearly identify the problem, clearly identify what people have done so far, and why I'm doing the research. Why? It's really important to show this in the introduction. The methods. We have to explain the methodology in details. Name the method, cite the previously published work. Again, we have to cite the previously published work. This is part of research, is to acknowledge the literature. Results, we should describe what we discovered and highlight the contribution. The paper contribution is really important, what we added. And we should add comparisons because, of course, we are not the first ones who work in this literature or this research. So we have to survey the literature and compare our finding with the literature, because where we are, this is really important, and this should be shown in the results. The conclusion, it discusses the implication of the finding in the context of what was already known about the subject. So the conclusion is important, again, and it highlights what you reached in reference to others. Acknowledgement is part of the ethical issues. You have to ensure that everyone helped you in this research and not in the author's list, or if there is a funding or if some support you have obtained from any entity, you have to mention this in the acknowledgement. Reference, of course, ensure previously published work is well recognized. We are now moving to another interesting topic, which is article submission and journal selection. How to select the best journal for submission. First, you already have a literature, so you know where other people are publishing their work. So first thing is to look at your reference list to narrow your choices, because the literature shows you where we could publish our work because it was previously published in the literature. So this narrow your choices a little bit and give you indications what are the correct journals you should seek, or you should ask, or you should search for. Next step, you have to review recent publication in each candidate journal. Find out the hot topic, the accepted type of article, because sometimes journals, it change their directions. So you need to check if the journal is still published in this areas or not. And here are some of the publishers as well. And after you select the journal, you have to read clearly the aim and the scope. If we're talking about circuit theory, if we're talking about analog, if you are talking about whatever, you need to read it correctly. Because you don't want to publish a journal. Maybe it has this aim from 2 years ago, but they changed the scope. So you have to, yes, narrow your choices and check if the journal is still published in these areas or not. Think about your target audience and the level of your work. Really, do you have a realistic chance to be accepted in this journal? It is important. Do you have a realistic chance to be accepted? Yes or no? And also, you have to follow the guidelines. Why? Because you make the editor happy if you follow the guidelines. If you didn't follow the guidelines, it will be hard. You will have, maybe you get rejected from the first step. Maybe you will have so much emails. No, it's not okay. No, it's not correct. No, and so on. So you have to make the editor happy. You have to follow the journal guidelines. And it's easily could be found on the journal website, any journal website. Do not ever submit one article in more than one journal at a time. Never do this. Many publishers now offer a completely electronic submission process. I think all do this, and to make it easy for you to do it. So after we publish, the review process is a really hard process till the paper got accepted. Of course, if you follow everything, you have to listen to the reviewer, because some of them, they are doing a constructive work to make your paper actually appealing and in a good shape for publication. So what is the peer review process done? Author submit a paper. It goes to the editor. The editor checks. Journal requirements met? No? Reject. So you are not making the editor happy. You have, if you did the first two steps, you will make the editor happy. Yes? Assign reviewers. After the assigning of reviewers, the reviewers, what they do, they review and provide comments. Then the editor collects the reviews. Then make a decision. Either reject or send again to the author to revise the paper based on reviewer comment. And then the cycle is repeated, or it could be accepted from the first try. So this is the process of publishing a journal. Okay. I hope you're just enjoying so far. Okay, what is the kind of first decision? Accepted or rejection? Accepted from the first time is rarely happen, but it happened, but rarely, because always there are comments, even minor comments. Rejected, probably before the first decision is rejected, probably 45 to 95%. Try to understand the reason behind that. If you submit to another journal, begin as if you are writing a new manuscript, because you need to understand why it is rejected and make use of the previous comment that provided to you from the previous submission. I'm giving you some examples for rejection. Dear Dr. Said, this is me. I write you to manuscript ID number entitled submitted to specific journal. Let's focus on the rejection here. In the view of criticism of the reviewer found at the bottom of this letter, they always have a comments. I regret to inform you that your paper couldn't be published in XXX. So it's okay, no problem. You take the comments and work on it. If the first decision is minor revision or major revision, the minor revision means the manuscript is worthy to be published. Some parts in the manuscript need to be clarified, restructured, or shortened, or expanded, not quite sure. But minor revision does not guarantee that it will be accepted after revision unless all the points are addressed. So you have to pay attention to the reviewer. Major revision, the manuscript may finally be published in the journal, but you need to have a significant changes before the acceptance. Minor revision example, as you can see, dear Dr. Said, thank you for submitting your manuscript. I received the comment, and here your paper should become acceptable for publication pending suitable minor revision. So This is, and for a major revision, as you can see, based on the advice received, the editor feels that your manuscript could be reconsidered for publications. Should you be prepared to incorporate major revision, as you can see here? Again, you are kindly requested to also check the website for possible review attachment, because sometimes they attach all the letters in the email or sometimes no. And you have to pay attention to read very well the emails. And here are some examples of reviews. As you can see, introduce a table containing comparison. Comparison is really important, as I told you in the beginning. And if you didn't do the comparison, people ask for it. Reviewer 1. Many equations and results I can find. The results were not clearly explained. As I told you, results have to be clear and concise and to the point and clearly explained. Again, experimental data and so on. Reviewer always right. You have to satisfy the reviewers. You have to reply to the reviewer. It's not satisfaction by meaning of just do what he wants. No, you have to understand his point of view and clearly reply to it if it is, again, to the point. If you find the reviewer just didn't understand your work, you have to clarify your work to the reviewer. Okay, now we are talking about what is the meaning of H-index. It's actually an attempt to measure both productivity and the impact of the published work of a scientist or a scholar, because a scholar with an H-index has published, let's say a scholar has H-index of 10. So he published 10 papers, which has been cited at least 10 times. Okay, or should I say it again? Okay, I will say it again. If you have a scholar who has H-index of 10, for example, so that means he has 10 papers cited by other research for at least 10 times. One of the famous search engines actually is Google Scholar. It's a web search engine, especially search literature and academic resources. It is really, really important. You can use it, just write Google Scholar, and it's a huge database. Similar, let's here, we can see, I'm searching for encryption algorithm, and we can see many papers related to the encryption algorithm. Okay. How to, and also you can take, you can track someone research activity on Google Scholar. You just, let's write Albert Einstein. Of course, everyone know Einstein. Here we can see here, this is his Google Scholar account, and you can see that he has an H-index of 112. And he started publication from 1905. Oh my God. This is the highly cited paper of Einstein. And of course, you can find others. There is also, if you want to track someone research activity on Scopus, it's a more professional than Google Scholar. It's more to the point. It's actually more accurate data. So I will search again for Albert Einstein. As you can see here. You can see here the number of document here is less than the number of document in Scholar, because of course this is a much proper indexing Scopus than Scholar, because Scholar just take everything they publish, but Scopus only have the indexed journals. And it has a really high selection criteria of how to index the journal. Here, he has an H-index of 40. At Scholar, he has an H-index of 112. What are the search engines you can search for a paper? Again, you can search also Scopus, and you can search for Google Scholar. And there is a ResearchGate. ResearchGate is a collection of researcher. You can directly talk to the author of the paper and ask him, "Hi, I'm interested in your research. Can we talk?" And actually, probably most of them reply, and you can talk to the author immediately. You can ask him for a paper. He can send you some of a paper. You can discuss about collaboration. You can. It's really, really nice community, ResearchGate community. You can search for paper. You can follow authors. You can ask them. You can talk to them. It's actually really good. Finally, I hope this was an informative presentation for you. And thank you so much for listening, and thank you for the opportunity you give me to conduct such a lecture to all of you. And I really, really hope you enjoy it and got the essence of the research and its fundamentals. And finally, I would like to tell you all, have a wonderful day and have a very successful academic career. Thank you.